All right, hello. Hello, 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 hello. Hello. Hello, 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 hello. Hello. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. All right. We got some stuff going on. We got some stuff going on, and by stuff going on, I mean, you know, time travel stuff.
I fight for the user.
Silver! Silver, hello. Springtime has the TTRPG so far. It's been great. It's been really fun. I feel like I approached it in a way that the designer didn't intend, but you know? But also in the fun way that I've talked about. The designer only has so much control over how you play a game. You know what I mean? The designer only has so much control over how you play a game. Silver, how the heck are you doing? I need to update some of the event appearances for y'all and write more shout out messages and shit. I'm very tired but good. Why are you tired? What did you do? What did you do? All right, we're gonna give everybody a minute or two to get back before we dive into Game Dome. Silver can tell me of his crimes. I made the mistake of watching someone play My Little Puppy before going to bed. Had a cry session while hugging Doug. That's fair. But also Kia started using the CPAP for the first time. I was making sure she didn't run into problems. That's fair. That's fair. Yeah, because dark humor. She's not gonna know. Back from my meeting with perfect timing. Hell yeah, perfect time. Perfect timing. But yeah, that makes sense. I've thought for a while if Aaron needs a CPAP. You know, or if I need a CPAP, you know, both of us snore and I don't want to say that she snores more. It's more that I notice her snoring because I'm awake. You know what I mean? So I can't say that she snores more because I don't know how much I snore. So maybe we both need a CPAP machine. And I have no idea. You know? Sleep apnea is a skilled friend of mine's and famous people I was fond of. I'm glad Kia got the sleep study done. Yeah, Brian did the same. RIP Ryan Davis. I'm sure other people, but that's who I know. Brian did it, and they determined he needed a CPAP. Friend of mine did it. The father of my godson went and got a sleep study done, which was good because he was not getting good sleep. He was not resting. And he was just like, why am he went to the doctor and was like, why am I always so tired? And they did a sleep study and they were like, oh, you functionally don't sleep. They were like, you functionally don't rest. You sleep. You don't reach a restful state. She was in the 80% danger percentile. I was playing it. I'm like, God. I like the idea of little Muppet Silver. Like, that's funny. All right. We're diving into the game. We're diving into Gamedal. That's Battlefield 2. I turned into a repo character. I should put more of the words. That would make it easier to find it. The second best Battlefield. I've not played most Battlefields, so I don't have an opinion. I feel like I recognize this art style. Is that a sock? Oh, is it Inazuma 11? It's Inazuma 11. I generally care about Battlefield. Points to that one for having a very recognizable cover design. Yeah, it's just a big 2. I'm really excited when I get my Iron Thor to play all of the Inazuma 11 games, except for the new one that they used a bunch of AI on. So fuck them. Fuck them. Battlefield 2142 has giant mech suits and huge airship infiltration. Well, clearly that's the best one. Clearly that's the best one. Why are her hands so wrinkly? This is Zoe from Longest Journey. Oh, Longest Journey. Yeah. I have a few of those. I don't know why her little hip pocket belt is so loose. So he doesn't exist in Longest Journey, so he exists in Dreamfall. That's just wrong, Gamedal. Listen, take it up with them. Take it up with them. All right, that's a point for Green Bean, which means I gotta do game win. Green Bean. I gotta remember that I made a new thing. Oh, you know what I should do? I should go remove the commands for people that I did it for. So that I don't double dip by mistake. That's what I should do. That's what I should do. Boats, shark, sonar, humans. Oh, Maneater's good. Maneater's a great guess. Boom. Crushed it. Maneater is a fun game. I wonder if I can force it. Okay, this is the first time Silver has scored a point since the new thing. All right, delete the old command. Go to counters. Silver has 75, so Silver is going to have 76 points. Which means if I want to go here, I can go here. Save. mattcaulder, if you want to cheat, add the bar raider Twitch add-on to your stream deck, add the shoutout command, and have it do your game win command. Then you can just tap it and find the name of the person who won. Oh, well, hey, this doesn't show anything. I didn't expect that to happen, but thankfully that doesn't show anything. Oh, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. Yeah, I could, yeah. Yeah, what I meant was I need to change the way I've programmed the command in Firebot to require a required text entry. And I don't know how to do that, and I'll, you know, I'll figure it out. Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, because I custom wrote that command to track everybody's points. So Silver, if you do !points, it pulls the metadata value for your game wins and returns it. And so I custom wrote two commands to it's got an if-then statement, which, boy, let me tell you, I'm so glad I took programming in high school to be able to comprehend an if-then statement in a programmatic sense. But I got an if-then statement for if you've got a value, if you don't have a value, if you don't have a value, it sets it, it creates it and sets it to 1. If you do have a value, I had to figure out how Firebot wanted me to tell it to increment a value by 1, which was fun. That was really fun. That took half of the time. It was like, okay, Firebot, it's a number. How do you want me to tell you to +1 the number? I figured it out. But okay. It is a third-person action game before 2020. I'm gonna guess my classic answer of brute force. Yo. Sci-fi action 2003. It is on Xbox and probably PC. It might be backwards compatible. We don't know. If you're having issues, let me know. That sounds exactly like my custom shoutout command is done for some folks. I have a generic shoutout command that pulls from the same data as my specific person name command. Did you send me the custom command, Silver? Did you send me that custom shoutout command? Because that was what put the idea in my head to do that. KOTOR's a good, it's not single player. KOTOR's a good guess though. KOTOR's a good guess. The game that we're picking is more than single player. So Jedi Academy, there you go. Amazing win. Honestly, amazing teamwork. Shoutouts to Brute Force. Shoutouts to Brute Force. Oh, I have all of these. That reminds me, Silver, who the hell do you think you are? Who the hell do you think you are? Time to go to the dentist. I would say enjoy the dentist, but I hope the dentist goes okay. Who the hell do you think you are, gifting me games all the time? Who are you? What are you doing? This looks like Remnant. That's a very existential question. Sadly, I am a gamer. I do love when I reset the thing. It says, check out your 2025 year in review. It would be very funny if I kept any stats. We're all getting awesome wins. I want to play more Remnant. Remnant was a really interesting game. Remnant was a really interesting game. It'd help if I knew how to spell it. Yeah, I have Remnant and Remnant 2. Sequels seem to be doing some interesting stuff. I feel like the second one kind of nailed down what they were going for. You know, I feel like the second one, they were like, all right, we know. What's wild is Remnant is a direct sequel to their VR game, which is why in the intro cutscene, you're a dude with a sword. I'm sorry, I'm sorry, what did you just say to me? Is that Kronos? Remnant is a sequel to Kronos. Oh, I see a lot of the design similarities. I mean, in the same way it's the same studio. But I see a lot of the same visual design. That kind of fucks. Listen, I'll put this on I'll play this. I'll play this. I give a shit. Cardo's a fantasy game with no guns. Your dude gets lost at sea and wakes up with demons and AR-15s. Yeah, listen, it's on the wish list. How? Let's check. Let's do the fun thing. How cheap does this game get during a Steam sale? Chronos Before the Ashes, great name. Great way to Great name. You just don't want to ever show me the Steam. Okay, so it gets cheap. Oh my God, it's been $3 on Steam. That's amazing. That's amazing. It's been $3. Dude, if you don't think I will play any game at $3, who do you think you are? I am. It might have been before they did the non-VR release. I like that Steam thinks that it's similar to games that I've played. It thinks it's similar to Armored Core 6 and Tunic. Look, it's got a 77 on Metacritic. It's literally a 7 out of 10. It's literally a 7 out of 10. I would gladly play an Armored Core game in the style of Tunic. Oh, that game would fuck. Purchased this on a deep sale after enjoying Remnant from the Ashes. Found it a solidly put together action Souls-like with an intriguing story featuring skillful ambient storytelling and few bugs. Character builds and item upgrading are basic, but the difficulty curve is well tuned. This is a port from an early Oculus VR exclusive, and you can feel that heritage as you play. Character models are less important, so are quite basic, while the immersive environment was critical and holds up well. There you go. There's only one real innovative mechanic, though it's an interesting one. You start the game at 18, and each time you die, you age a year. Every 10 years, you unlock a permanent perk, and eventually the points needed to level up a stat change. So strength costs less when you're a spry young whippersnapper, but arcane is cheaper when you're a wise old codger. It's a great idea in theory, though one I never got to put into practice, as Chronos is not a very difficult game. In fact, I made it through my 6-hour playthrough in my early 20s and only hit age 30 when fighting the frustrating, overly hard final boss. Upgrades are plentiful, levels come at you thick and fast, and to make... That's weird. Lyrics, hello. To make things even easier, each time you gain a level, you're restored to full health, which combined with the Lifesteal Dragonstone meant I was rarely in trouble. Yeah, you know. Not every game has to be the Second Coming. You know? Not every game has to be the Second Coming. Lyrics, hello. All right. We're gonna get back into Project Echo. What was that game you were talking about? It sounds cool. That game is called Chronos Before the Ashes. It is apparently a prequel to Remnant After the Ashes, which is, you know, it makes sense when I say it out loud like that. You know what I mean? I found several extremely awkward FMV games while looking for $3 games. That's very funny. I mean, it's an FMV, right? So... When the hell is Tenebrisomnia coming out? Oh, not a moment too soon. Not a moment too soon. So many Chinese FMV dating sims. You're trying to make me Northern Lion, Green Bean. Stop trying to turn me into Northern Lion. Get out of here. Get out of here. Lyrics, how the heck you doing? You open the door with what $3 game wouldn't I play? Listen, hey, who's saying I wouldn't play him? Who's saying I wouldn't play him? I'm good. I have lights of time off. That's good. That's good. I appreciate that. How am I? I'm good. I'm good. You know? I'm chilling. It's you know. It is what it is. But I'm glad that I can spend time with my friends. And you know, hang out with cool people. So so on that note, let's get back over to the desk and continue Project Echo. So is it I put the button in here, right? Yeah. I'll see you at the desk in a second. Okay, hello. Hello, we're back at the desk. We're here. We're here, we did it. Emily, hello. Emily, I like how you just showed up again. You completely missed my face. That's funny to me. It's very funny. I missed your face. Yeah, because we did Game Dull. We did Game Dull and I was just chilling. You know, it wasn't PNG, it was just me normal. And so that's why it's funny. It's like you were like, no, I'm gonna wait. I was No, I know. I'm just saying it's funny. I'm not yelling at you. I'm just saying it was funny. I know you're working, and I hope work is fine. I hope work is good. I hope work is not being a problem. I can't believe Matt is yelling at me. Matt made an observation. I can't believe Matt is yelling at me. I can't believe it. Okay. So we are picking up the game of Project Echo. Is this on? On. There we go. We're picking back up our game of Project Echo by Elliot Davis, which has been fantastic so far. I've really been enjoying it. We've really started to get to some stuff. We just picked up the skimmer, which is our second tool for time traveling. Each of our little time travel devices work differently, and sort of forces us to engage with our planner differently. Project Echo is played in a planner. If you're watching this on YouTube and you haven't seen part 1, go watch part 1. But we have had one encounters so far with the entity. We have this sort of 12-step clock that fills in from opposite sides. Once we have 6 encounters with either the authority or the entity, we trigger endgame. So we're getting there. We are playing as ostensibly me, but in the sort of trappings of an 80s sci-fi TV show. Think, Quantum Leap or early Doctor Who, sort of slightly sanitized sci-fi. Nothing too bad happens, but I've also established that as we have encounters with the entity, that the show will reflect that and get darker and more gritty and more explicitly violent, because I think it's fun to show escalating stakes. So the big thing that we need to note in terms of character stuff is we have lost our coin. Our coin is our sort of constant. Our coin is something that grounds us in our time travel, and we have lost it, which means if we encounter a prompt that requires a coin flip, we are instead subject to a temporal disturbance, which means there's a separate prompt table that we have to go through and answer and interact with. That I'm sure is perfectly fine. So, no worries about that. No worries about that whatsoever. Like I said, we just got the skimmer. Why'd you lose our 1 coin? It wasn't my choice. It wasn't my choice. The fun thing about prompt-based games is things just happen and you gotta roll with it. Things just happen, we gotta roll with it. But we have the watch and the skimmer in order to travel through time. Now, I think what's really interesting is we can look at the skimmer and we can see that we have we have entity encounters and agency encounters differently, and a device discovery differently than we do the watch. So we can choose which we want to use whenever we want to use it. And the last time we we used the skimmer sort of out of panic. And I think we're kind of lost and confused in a temporal state. And we're gonna use the skimmer again because it's fun. So double 4s, aka an 8. An 8 on the skimmer. First of all, what we need to do, the way that we interact with time travel on the skimmer is when we roll our 2d6, let's go back to the planner. When we roll our skimmer, we have to turn that many pages. So 2, 3, I'm not counting this one, 4, 5, 6, 7, not counting this one, 8. And then we pick a day on that page, and that is the day that we time travel to. So I'm not gonna use, so I can't go to the 6th. The 6th has been consumed. The 6th has already been consumed by the entity. So what's great about being able to choose is that I don't have to have, if I had gotten this another way, I would have had a temporal disturbance, and that probably wouldn't have been good. So we're gonna pick the 5th. We're gonna pick the 5th. This is our 9th prompt. Matt, why are you numbering them for me? Excuse me. For me. And I rolled an 8 on the skimmer. Now let's read our prompt. From no language you know or ever will know, symbols appear. What are they written on or carved into? Draw them or describe them. Ooh. From no language we know or will ever know. So there is no way. I think that's a great in a time travel game. I think saying that this will never be known. This is an unknowable message. What are they written on or carved into? I think the immediate thought for this sort of thing is this something from the past or the future? Excuse me. Is it something so ancient as to be unknowable, or something so futuristic as to be unknown? And I think it's more interesting if it's from the future. I think 80s sci-fi shows had an interesting relationship with the future. I think the future was almost always viewed as hopeful. And idyllic. Is the idea that like it's nothing bad can happen in the future. The future is always a place for growth and change and improvement and betterment. And I like the idea of getting this like a piece of metal. Something very small. So that I can carry it around. It's made out of a metal that resizes. It's made out of a metal that is hard. It's like an aluminum sign. But if you hold it at the corners, you can like pinch to zoom. Futuristic in a way that you can't imagine why they would create a thing that did this. Found unknowable language. Sign. Made of a metal from the future. Can resize it at will. Who would be I don't think there's a reason to have a guest star for this episode. I think maybe this is like a mid-season episode. Where we sort of tapped our guest stars for a little bit. We're saving them for the end of the season. We got them at the start and now we're saving them for the end. I also just think that there's no one to like interact with on this. I do want to put the vibe. We don't know what it says. But I want the vibe of the Chernobyl warning, because I've always thought the Chernobyl warning is one of the most interesting things created by humans. And so I think what's remarkable about this piece of metal is that like the text has no ornamentation. There's no, as far as we can sort of glean, there's no symbology. There's no like, oh, this is some sort of symbol so we can understand what it's saying. It's like a statue plaque or something. It just has symbols. But in a way that feels serious, And I think a fun thing to keep in mind with this, because I love word choice in games like this. It says that it's in a language I'll never know, not in a language, not that I'll never learn what it says. So I'm going to add this to my inventory. Because maybe we'll have the ability to learn what it says. Maybe we'll have the ability to learn what it says. I want to make sure we don't land on this temporal disturbance day. So we're going to use the skimmer again. And again, I'm hoping we get another device because I want to show off the ways that this works. 8, which I don't think is a device. No, it's the same. So the one rule that I've made for this is I won't accept the same prompt, like a repeating prompt. So I rolled an 8, I can't get an 8, so I got to reroll. That's a 10. Okay. That's a 10. This is fun. So the first thing we got to do, 1, 2, 3, skipping the calendar, the month 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Skipping the calendar, 9, 10. Ooh. So I don't want to take our special prompt. So we're gonna go to the Sunday because we did a Saturday for the last one. And this is our 10th prompt. This is auspicious. A 10 on the skimmer. We rolled a 10 for our 10th prompt. We're gonna put it on a Sunday. The 10th prompt says, from a wall, floor, or ceiling, the door appears. Agency headquarters. Flip to page 62. When you're presented with an agency headquarters, roll a d6 and use the value to get one of the following prompts. If you encounter a prompt you've already faced, you may choose to re-roll. During your 3rd and 5th returns, consult the corresponding supplemental prompt. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to roll for our prompt. We rolled 5. The agency has many entrances. This one, a back door of sorts. You make your way to the records room. You find a secret about yourself, the agency, or the entity. What is it? That's really interesting. I'm also going to make sure that we denote our agency encounter. I guess I could have had them go from opposite sides. I probably should have. We have our agency encounter because this is how we trigger endgame. Once we have 6 encounters, we end. We don't win either way. So we went to agency headquarters and we found our way into the records room. So this reveals to us a secret about ourself, the agency, or the entity. So we know that we have no memory before working for the agency. Back to work with me. Have a rad day. Silver, I hope work goes well. Thank you for hanging out. I like the idea. I like the idea of establishing something unexpected about either myself or the agency. Because this is a time travel story. And I guess this is a great time to decide. Ionic!
Peki Almo.
Ionic, hello. Thank you for the raid. Ionic, how are you? Ionic, how the heck are you doing? Thank you so much for the raid. How was your stream? How was your stream? Welcome on in, everybody. How is everybody doing? That's much done today. We did a co-work. We did a co-work to set up co-working. You know, that's an important part. That's a great way to start your co-working streams, with setting up co-working. So yeah, that's very good. This is a very good idea. That is a very good idea. Yeah, Blood Carnation, hello. Ionic, hello. We're playing Project Echo today by Elliot Davis. It is a solo time traveling TTRPG. We are currently deciding the details of this prompt. Number 5. We have discovered a secret about ourselves, the agency that we work for, or the entity that we are working against. I'm here too. Work is working. Selkie, I hope work is going okay. I hope you get some reprieve from work. Have a little tea here. Originally we were playing Talos Principle. I got an email. Someone changed the password for an email I no longer use. That's a good idea. Work is getting hectic. I gotta bow out. No worries. No worries, D. No worries, D. Hope work goes well. Hope work goes well. I'm sorry it's getting so much. This will be up on YouTube in a bit. Went to coworker to change passwords and decided to set up co-working officially. That's how it goes sometimes. That's how it goes sometimes. That's a good idea. I'll check it out there. Have a good day, D. I want to establish something about myself. Because I think that's the most interesting right now. I think for the first one, a secret about myself is the most interesting one. And I want to establish something that's like, this isn't I'm not the first me. I'm not the only me. In a very odd way to phrase it, kind of intentionally, because does that mean I'm a clone? Does that mean the way that time travel works, there are other versions of me running around? You know, am I the outcome of some sort of temporal disturbance? And now, was I split from the original? Whatever, something like that. And what I think is really fun about TTRPGs is I can just say something like this, right? And I can make a note and I can come back to it. And when we're faced with something where it's appropriate to go into more detail, when it's important to establish it a bit more, then hey, I can do that, and when it becomes more important to the story, that's what we can do. That's what we can do. So, The skimmer just says flip that many pages. So we could go back or forth. Which is interesting. I'm not going to leave that to chance because that's not an inherent part of how the skimmer works. I think we'll wait to see what our role is, but I do like using the skimmer. I think the skimmer provides the biggest changes. And I think that's interesting. Okay. So that's 8 again. I don't know how I feel about multiple prompts this close. You know? Maybe we see them again. Where would 8 pages, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think this puts us about 2 weeks. Yeah. Maybe I see them again. So let's split our page here. Our 11th prompt rolled an 8 on the skimmer. This feels like it's starting to be a little bit like the numbers from Lost, where I think what this is, because we're framing this as a TV show, right? So the framing of this as is a TV show is what I think happens. I think there's another episode that is just kind of a monster of the week kind of episode, something not terribly exciting. But fans of the show start to notice, and this is what I'm going to write down. Fans start to notice, because we're getting meta now in a way that I'm all about. The warning symbols in the show. So in the way that Lost partially established, then later I feel like they kind of abandoned it after season 2, when they were establishing the numbers. You know, it would be in small places, right? It would be inconsequential numbers in places until you knew that they had a meaning, right? So we'll assume that fans have some way to watch the earlier episodes, right? Because this is the 80s. It was just reruns, right? Like I think they had we had VHSs in the 80s. So it's one of those, like, you know, somebody's brother taped last week's episode. And fans start to realize that those symbols have popped up in places. Like Molly Ringwald's name tag. Right? Molly Ringwald's name tag after she's attacked. It changes, right? It doesn't say Molly anymore, it changes. And I think fans start to translate the language. In the way that it's like, okay, we think this symbol corresponds to this or this sort of thing. Because again, that's a fun meta thing. You know, that we can be playing with the fact that this is time travel, but also is a meta narrative. Yeah, I like that. That's fun. That's a fun idea. That's a really fun idea. And we can figure out more times that it shows up, because again, the joy of this is we can create the threads when we need them. All right. I'm gonna roll for the skimmer. I think I'm just going to commit to using whatever method I get most recent. I don't know, we'll see. That's another 8. I'm gonna re-roll that. 4. I have thoughts about re-rolling that last 8 because that's like our 4th 8. And for me, part of the fun of TTRPGs is like respecting the dice when they come up and thinking about what that means, like, you know, establishing rules and patterns and understandings, but then also in the way that people do for tarot and stuff like that, like taking the result on and understanding, because if we go forward 8 to where we were in May, right? I don't want to keep just bouncing between two things though, is also the thing. I do want to seed new events. Prompt 4 says, from what you've been told, the skimmer has its bugs. You take a huge geographical jump. Where are you now? What are the sights, sounds, and smells? You take a huge geographical jump. Is there anything interesting? 1... making sure that I'm turning the right pages. 2, 3, 4. Nothing interesting backwards. 1, 2, 3, 4. Nothing interesting backwards. So let's go forward, because I think time defaults to forward movement. I think that's sort of the intention of it. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're here. We have like almost no left-hand prompts in a really interesting way. Which I wonder if it's because of the way I'm reading the skimmer. I'm on the right page, so I'll never get to the left page. So the next one I'll commit to using the watch. I'll use the watch for the next one. And we'll start Thursday, because why not? See, if I really wanted to be like just truly random about this, like I would roll a d4 to see what page, what day I wanted it to be on, and I would take flipping pages less literally and go through individual pages. But I'm just establishing quick rules for myself, because that's how you know how to play the game. I rolled a 4 on the skimmer. So a 4 on the skimmer, a huge geographical jump. A huge geographical jump. So we were sort of flirting back and forth between US and the UK in you know, in kind of that 80s sci-fi way. And this implies that we have a huge shift. And I think, you know, listen, I think Doctor Who has a bunch of episodes like this where it's like, oh no, something goes wrong and we end up nowhere where we think we are. So I think this puts us in Antarctica. For a number of reasons. I think Antarctica is a very mysterious place even now. But certainly for 80s sci-fi, I think the concept of a place where almost nothing lives and mankind has not established any real civilization is always very alluring and curious and mysterious. And I think to pull on some meta narrative threads, right? Because these prompts are very open, and they leave us space to start to fill in our story, right? I think we find an agency outpost, or like a numbers station, and I think there's been a couple episodes since we found the sign. You know, there's been 3-4 episodes since we found the sign. And it hasn't come up in the show since then, but it's definitely come up as a thing for the fans to engage with. And I think on the door or on the sign or something, there is a I think there's a sign in this language, and I what I want to remember and respect is the prompt that the character will never learn the language, right? So I don't want it to be like Agency Outpost Delta and then it says that under the sign, right? Because that means my character could very easily understand that language in some way. And you know what? Maybe listen, it's not explicitly the agency, right? We're gonna say in the context of the show, it is a mysterious outpost. It's just an outpost, right? It's like the outpost in this thing, where it's just like, wow, they were here like doing science, doing experiments, taking readings, and things like that. But I think the fans translate some of the signs and discover that it was an agency outpost. I think it's one of those things where using the symbols that they've sort of already maintained, they put together that it's like, oh, it spells egg, you know what I mean? And then it's like, oh, this is so close to agency, these have to be these letters. Yeah, if you take the letters from Molly Ringwald, you get G and N and Y, and A, right? It's A? Is it A or O? But either way, you get a lot of the letters, and you know, fans put together, oh, this is an agency outpost, whatever this was, this was a thing. And what does that mean? I don't know. We can come back to that when we want. But I think what it establishes is that there is a physical like a physical representation of the agency in some way. Like the agency doesn't just exist in this temporal space. It's that they exist somewhere. And you know, it's like, oh, there's this like secret building. It's like, no, that building is somewhere. How you get to it is strange. So, let's use the watch. I said I was going to use the watch for the next one. So let's use the watch. For the watch, we roll a D6 and a D12. I came up the rule for the D12 to determine if I want to add or subtract. All right, we rolled a 6. We rolled a 6, which is bad. We rolled a 6, which is bad. And we rolled a 2, which means it is minus 2 days. All right, so we go back 2 days, which puts us on the left. We did it. It happened. 13th prompt. 6 on the watch, which is this prompt here. 2 timelines split, reach for your coin. My coin has been lost, which means we get our first timeline divergence. And I think this is maybe the middle point of the season. We'll see what our options are. Some agents call it the time storm, others time hell. Whatever this maelstrom between timelines is, whether in your mind or around your body, it is real, and the only way out is through. After you've responded to a timeline divergence prompt, you return to the date you encountered with your coin safely back in your pocket. Roll 2d6 and use the sum to get one of the following prompts. If you encounter a prompt you've already faced, you may choose to re-roll. Timeline divergence prompts must be written in the margins of your planner or anywhere other than the dedicated writing space for dates. We have this notes page here at the back. And that's where we'll write that. That's where we will write that. Let's roll 2d6. We got a 3. You walk in an endless maze. Left, right, right, left, left, left. Draw the maze and show your path through. Oh, wow. Okay. So let's put a pen so that we can come back to that. The classic move. And we have to draw a maze, which is very interesting. Actually, we'll put the coin like that, so it'll still sit mostly flat. That's very interesting. All right. Timeline divergence 1. We'll draw a square, just like this. This is interesting. This is a fun idea. I'm gonna do this backwards because I think that's funnier. I'm gonna draw the path. And then I will draw the maze in around it. This is a really interesting exercise to like draw a maze. This isn't going to be a great maze, but I like the idea of having to do something different and sort of flex your mind in a new way. That's fun. What's really fun is trying to make sure that I don't leave myself a shorter path accidentally, but all right, yeah. It's almost like you have to do a little penalty game. You have to do a little penalty game because you lost your coin. You're like, oh, you got a punishment. Oh, okay. Timeline Divergence 3. I'll note that on the day. Again, for my own sake. For my own sake. So I re-roll. I guess I roll again. Let's use the watch again. Why not? Why not? We rolled 1 and it's a 9. So 9 means we are adding a month. So we're going to May 14th, which we're back on our right page. This is the 14th prompt. We rolled a 1 on the watch. My hand is hurting in a way that I think is because I have not held a writing implement in a very long time. Okay. There are people disturbed by your arrival. Their whispers and glances make the hairs on your neck stand up. You reach for your coin. How do you convince them you can be trusted? What do you do that confirms their suspicions? All right, let's flip it. It is heads. It is heads. So, the PDF scene wasn't on. So when I was looking at the PDF, you weren't seeing it. I'm sorry. I thought the PDF scene was still on. Heads, how do you convince them that you can be trusted? So I think this ties back to the fact that we are not the only us. I think another us has been here. I think another us has been here. And maybe that was who bumped into us earlier and, you know, stole our coin. But I think I'm gonna note that I rolled, or I flipped heads. I think we convinced them to trust us. It says people are disturbed by your arrival. So we could take this people, kind of broadly, and instead of, instead of reading this as, just like regular people, this could be members of that third faction that we were talking about, right? The whoever bumped into me, right? So maybe these are members of this third faction, that are wary of people from the agency. Not necessarily wary of me, but wary of forces of the agency. And I'm trying to determine what their goals might be. Why? I mean, it would be interesting to have a group of people that are aware of time travel and of the agency and of the entity, and try to determine what their goals might be, what they might be trying to do and solve that they don't think the agency would be able to do, or in a way, how, I mean, I know how I want to answer this prompt, so let's answer the prompt, because as always, like I was saying, if you're getting bogged down by details, you can just skip them, right? So I think these are members of this third faction. I'm just going to write the third faction, because we can determine who it is later. You know what I mean? All we need to know is that these are people of this third group. And they trust us because of the song. I think the sign and being exposed to it, being exposed to whatever this language is, whatever timeline, future space, whatever this comes from, has altered our path in some way. You know, tying into the fact that we're not the only us out there. This is not the first time we've done this, you know, Alan Wake 2, anything like that. Like, because we have encountered the sign, because we've encountered that language, that whatever it is, whatever it comes from, we are on a different path. We are on a different route. And they trust us, I would say, insofar as this moment, not globally, right? I wouldn't say that if we ran into this group in the future that they would trust us implicitly, but I think it's in this moment where they recognize, they go, oh, you are on the right path, and we need you to be exploring this way. We need you to be doing this. So that gives us space. That gives us space to look into. This is a great chance to have a guest star. This is a prime opportunity for a guest star. Who's we haven't had one for a little bit, so I think we could reach a little higher on this one. I think we could reach a little higher. Trying to think of, I'm just going through a list, and I was gonna make a joke about how this list is just this list has devolved into just blonde women, just like blonde models. And then I got to George Michael and I laughed at myself. Like, it was very funny timing. It's that fun thing where I want someone who is famous but not too famous. And the problem with searching for famous people in the 80s is you get just the most famous people. And what I want is like B-tier famous people. You know, and like I said, I want people who were famous in the 90s who got their start in the 80s. Right? Or people who were famous in the 70s. Let's do that. Who was famous in the 70s that might be willing to do I'm guessing moderately successful sci-fi show? You know, the fact that we have a guest star every episode. This is just a lot of the same people from the 80s. This is just a lot of the same people from the 80s in a really funny way. Jane Fonda's an interesting option. Jane Fonda's a really interesting option. Oh my God, John Travolta danced with Princess Di? That's okay. Okay, you know, I get why you might put Richard Nixon on a list of famous people in the 70s, but I don't think you should. I don't think you should. Oh, John Candy. Ooh, I'm gonna write. Oh, I want John Candy in this at some point. Maybe not this role, but John Candy. These lists really love Blondie. Blondie's been on every one of these lists. Grace Jones is a fun option. If it's Grace Jones, I want her to come. It's, you know what? It's gonna be Grace Jones. I think Grace Jones is our guest star, and she's gonna come back. She's gonna come back. Yeah. I think there's like a vibe from these people that they are some sort of refugee resistance group. I think these are people that have been displaced by, and I'm gonna write this down so I don't forget this. There are people that have been displaced by the entity. There are people who manage to survive attacks by the entity, and I'm put attacks in quotes because, you know, leaves us room to learn more about the entity in the future, and have fallen through time, and people that have found each other, and have created this sort of temporal resistance and support, like not necessarily just resistance, but trying to help temporally displaced people and ground them and give them community in a way that they are sort of inherently distrustful of a group like the agency and an agent of the agency, but in a way that they are, you know, like I said, they are trustful of me in this moment because they believe that whatever the language is important to stopping the entity or stopping whatever's happening, I guess, because we don't know what happens. We don't know what will happen. We're gonna use the watch again. There's a couple interesting things like in our immediate vicinity, so I want to use the watch. So let's go back to the watch. Let's get a 4. Come on. I love 4s. 5. Okay. 5 is we have a timeline split, which is very interesting. We reach for our coin. Now let's figure out where we're going, and then we can start to solve this prompt. So we rolled a 5. So we're moving 5. 6 is we're going backwards 6 days. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Friday. Our 15th prompt. Our 15th prompt, a roll of 5 on the watch. Let's get the PDF up and flip our coin. And it is heads, which is great because we got tails the last time we did this. There is one other person in a space fit for crowds. They stand in the center of it all staring. What do you say to them? How do they react? So we have heads. So there is one person in a space fit for crowds. It immediately makes me think of a big open space. So not something like a movie theater, but maybe like a mall or a sports stadium. Sports stadium is a really fun idea. What were, let's see. What were the Super Bowls of the 80s? Who was winning Super Bowls in the 80s where we could get a fun cameo from somebody? Let's see. So in the way that this show is sort of bending time a little bit, I think it's really interesting to see that they had looking at, you know, who won the Super Bowls of the 80s, that the San Francisco 49ers won 4 Super Bowls in that decade, which is, you know, pretty impressive. I also think it's really interesting that the Bears won their first Super Bowl appearance under Ditka. That's fun. That's a fun idea. So maybe it's, you know, maybe it's Ditka. I think Mike Ditka is a really well-known figure, and I think in the ways that we've had actors and you know people who are known for acting and playing characters, we grounded a little bit by having Ditka. And I think in a way, I think we imply a little bit. Matt, thank you for recommending Parsec. We fixed Cult of the Lamb. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Yeah, I remember I had a chat with Price at some point talking about Steam Remote Play, and he was like, yeah, he's like, it works, but it's inconsistent for us. Parsec works for us every time. And it's just a thing I've put in the back of my brain. And so we have Mike Ditka as our guest star. And I think Parsec's a lot clearer too for the other person. That's good. That's good. Yeah, well, I used it once or twice playing stuff with Brian. And we also used Steam Remote Play, and it was like, blah, 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 you know, and it worked fine that we never bothered one way or the other. So I got Firebot up. I don't know why the download didn't work, but I got it now. Hell yeah, look at you. Look at you. Obviously, let me know if you want any help with Firebot. Just let me know. I'm doing shit today for my blanket hoodie. Hell yeah, the power of the blanket hoodie. The power of the blanket hoodie. I'm happy for any Rex on what to do with it. I mean, the quote system is built in. It probably does stuff that even I don't use that I could figure out how to do, so, you know. Excuse me. I think he's at, I think maybe how goes your time traveling? It's going well. It's going well. We got a lot of fun story ideas. We got a lot of fun story ideas that I feel like I should be writing down. I feel like I should be taking notes. I feel like I should be noting all of our guest stars in case they pop back up, but I think we're at the Louisiana Superdome, and I think we sort of imply that the real world is an alternate reality. Hi, Graham. Maybe grab a sticky note. Yeah, I've got a sticky. I should just note some of the ideas. Hi, Graham. Hi, baby boy. But I've got my character sheet on a little sticky note that I'm gonna put on the inside cover. And then I'll write some ideas down, because I don't want to come back to this next week. Spoilers, we're coming back to this next week, and completely forget all of the sort of vibes and stuff that I established. So we're implying that the real world is an alternate universe / timeline, because they're kind of the same thing. So like, this is my character from the sci-fi show interacting with Mike Ditka in the real world, in a way that I think is a fun little cameo episode, you know, something that establishes that there's, you know, interesting parallel worlds that are happening. Like, the world, it looks like the real world, but we've established that it's not in some fun ways. Liam, what are you doing, baby boy? You're just sitting. And I think so I think what happens is he's at the Super Bowl, like they had just won the Super Bowl, and I think the entity attacked. I think the entity attacked this like temporal moment, right? This like moment that's important to history, because this was the first win, the first win of the Bears. Their first Super Bowl was in 85. It was their fourth season under Ditka, Ditka, who would go on to be like a really well-known coach in the history of sports. And this was, in the way that we've established that the entity consumes these sort of massive temporal moments. Entity attacked. And somehow Ditka survived. Somehow Ditka, wasn't consumed. PC Man, hello. PC Man, hello, how are you? And I think we helped Ditka find his way to the temporal refugees, whatever they're gonna end up being officially called. Whatever they end up actually being called, that's where he ends up. PC Man, hello. How the heck are you? We're gonna use the watch one more time for definitely our final prompt. Decent working. I hope work goes all right. I hope work goes all right. We rolled a 1. We rolled another 1. We just rolled a 1. We just rolled a 1. I want something different. A 2. All right, we haven't had a 2 for a minute, so we'll go with the 2. We'll go with the 2. We haven't had a 2 for a while. So we also rolled a 3. That means we're going back 2 months. So we're going to March 8th. This is the 16th prompt. And we rolled a 2 on the watch. There's a convergence. A time anomaly has caused 2 areas to merge into a collage of disparate activity. Who do you meet here, and what conflicting things do you see about them? I think the activity that they're doing is less important than who we meet. I think we meet ourselves. And maybe this is like a sweeps week episode. I think we meet an alternate version of ourselves. And we have a guest star, but our guest star isn't. I want the guest star to not be someone that's like famous, but someone that looks very similar to, whatever us in this show looks like, right? It's very obvious that it's maybe it is us. Maybe we do. It's the 80s. We can do some fun camera tricks. But I think what happens is they don't recognize that we look like them. Right? We recognize that they look like us. But they don't recognize that we look the same. And I think there's some implication. I think over the course of the episode, it's sort of implied through our interactions. I think what happens is we arrive at the scene of some sort of temporal disturbance that, like we talked about previously, where the timelines overlapped. And we arrive and we're sort of there and we're trying to take stock of what's happening. And then the other us arrives and starts taking control of the situation, right? Starts, like we very easily notice them. Because it's us, in that way that they got here after us, but were just quicker at identifying what was happening and interacting with people and reaching out, so that to them, we just look like a bystander. We just look like someone who was here. And So it implies that there's something about us that's different. There's something about us that's different. And then also that that the different us's don't all have the same goal. Because whereas we are kind of focused on stopping the entity and discovering what it's doing and trying to stop it, this us is almost working like disaster recovery or FEMA or something like that. Like they're trying to take stock of what's happening, see if there's anybody that needs help. They have some sort of device that like they're trying to sort out the timeline, whereas we're simply traveling through it. And I think it's interesting to have the idea that that maybe the reason there's different us's is because there's different aims. You know, maybe there's different groups. The agency is one group, and maybe this different us works for a different group. Yeah, that's cool. That's weird and fun. Okay. That's gonna be it for Project Echo today. We're gonna go back to the other side of the desk. And you know, I'll say my goodbyes there. So I'll be back in 2 seconds. All right, hello. Oh, there's my mouse. I reached for my mouse and it wasn't there and I felt lost. But it's because it was on the other side from doing stuff. All right, hello. Hi. Hi. Matt's lost without the, I mean, yeah, you know, I don't have a way to control the thing that's in front of me, so yeah. But yeah, thank you everybody for being here and hanging out. Thank you everybody for hanging out today. I am beat. Let me tell you, doing a TTRPG on stream is a very different kettle of fish. I am. Oof. I am beat, but that was so much fun. I definitely need to sit down. And like Emily said, I got to take some notes on sort of the story threads I have in my brain. You know, keep in mind the little story beats and stuff. But yeah, I'm excited. This is great. This is a game I've wanted to play and check out for a while. So I'm very happy to do that. Very happy to be spending some time doing that. So thank you to everybody that was hanging out. If you're watching this on YouTube, thank you so much for checking all this out. Again, if you missed it somehow, I was playing Project Echo today by Elliot Davis. If you're watching on YouTube, the link will be down in the thing. You can go to moreblueberries.itch.io and check out the rest of his work. Gosh, I'm all out of it. I'm definitely going to take a break this afternoon, which is well timed. I'm gonna send y'all to Stumped. Price is about to go live. I feel like we haven't had a Price stream in a little bit. So I'm very excited. I'm very excited because you know what? I'm gonna hang out this afternoon. I'm gonna play some Ball Pit, a game that I know Price loves. He hasn't streamed solo since before Stump Miss. Yeah, I was gonna say, I was like, it's been a minute. So I'm excited to send y'all over there. I hope everybody has a great rest of your day. Again, thank you so much for hanging out with me, spending time with me. I hope you had a good time. Tomorrow we'll be back with Demon School. Demon School Wednesday and Friday. And then on Thursday, we'll have a little co-working day. So that's what the rest of the week is gonna look like. Until tomorrow, please take care of yourself. Make sure you drink some water. Make sure you have at least one meal, maybe two, you know, if you got the time for it. Do something nice for yourself, and I will see everybody tomorrow.